Glorben Taz, senior analyst for the Galactic Security Council, was having the worst day of his 600-cycle existence. And that was saying something, considering he'd once accidentally ingested a Zarloxian aphrodisiac before a budget meeting with the Supreme Chancellor. They are just monkeys. Hairless, bipedal monkeys. Glorben shouted, slamming his three-fingered hand onto the conference table. Are we seriously wasting valuable council resources on this nonsense? The 7 other members of the council shifted uncomfortably in their hover chairs. Only Vereen Dow, the ancient prophetic observer from Proxima Centauri, remained unmoved. Her silver eyes fixed on Glorben with the patience of someone who had seen empires rise and fall while others argued about cafeteria menus. The prophecies have never been wrong before, Vereen said, her voice like gravel being poured over metal. The ancestral archives clearly state, beware the third planet from the yellow star. When they reach beyond their cradle, the sky will turn black. Oh please, Glorben rolled all 4 of his eyes simultaneously, a gesture considered extremely rude in most sectors. Your precious prophecies also said the Naborians would develop interstellar travel. Look how that turned out. They discovered social media and haven't left their homes in 3 centuries. The rest of the council chuckled. Even Vereen's assistant, Plex, suppressed a snort. The humans are different, Vereen insisted, tapping a sequence on her datapad. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the table, showing a blue-green planet. They are resourceful, adaptable, and absolutely, terrifyingly unpredictable. Glorben waved dismissively. They still think digital watches are a neat idea. Their most advanced propulsion system wouldn't get them to their own moon without 17 different backup plans. They spend most of their computational resources making their communication devices show dancing animals. Perhaps Vereen conceded, but they advance exponentially. This is what they were doing just 300 cycles ago. The hologram shifted to show humans in primitive clothing, riding horses. And this, she continued, is them now. The image changed to show humans launching primitive rockets. So they have figured out how to strap themselves to controlled explosions. Congratulations to them. We are supposed to fear this? Glorben's derision was so thick you could spread it on toast. Councillor Draz, a gelatinous blob. Yes, yes, the sky turning black, Glorben mimicked in a sing-song voice. And I move we stop wasting resources on mythological nonsense, countered Glorben. The Taurians are literally eating their neighboring systems, and we are worried about monkeys with rockets. The council voted. Glorben's motion passed 6-2. As the meeting adjourned, added it to my collection. Glorben replied cheerfully. This isn't a joke. The humans are dangerous precisely because everyone underestimates them. Vereen, with all due respect, which is very little, I have analyzed 73 emerging civilizations. Not one has ever surprised us. The pattern is always the same. They develop technology, then either destroy themselves or join the galactic community as boring, rule-following citizens. Vereen's silver eyes darkened. You are a fool, Glorben Taz. And you are retiring next cycle, he shot back. Take your doomsday prophecies with you. 20 cycles later, Glorben was still senior analyst, though his reputation had suffered somewhat after the Zeta Reticuli incident. No one had predicted that an entire civilization would develop a religion around cheese crackers, much less go to war over flavor varieties. He was reviewing sensor data from the Orion arm when his assistant, Trill, burst into his office without knocking a breach of protocol that would normally earn a stern reprimand. Sir, you need to see this immediately. Trill's voice oscillated between frequencies, a sign of extreme distress in Arcturians. Unless the Taurians have developed a taste for council members, it can wait until after my nutrition break, Glorben said, not looking up from his snack container. It's Sol 3, sir. The humans. Glorben paused mid-bite. What about them? Did they finally blow themselves up arguing about that streaming service they are all obsessed with? No, sir. They have left their system. Glorben dropped his food. That's impossible. Our last analysis indicated they were at least 50 cycles from developing functional FTL technology. They don't have FTL, sir. They have launched thousands of small craft. Unmanned, rudimentary, but effective. Show me. Trill projected the sensor feed onto Glorben's office wall. What he saw made his primary heart skip a beat. Thousands, no, millions of small, crude probes were streaming outward from Sol 3 in all directions. They weren't fast by galactic standards, but there were so many of them. A cloud of mechanical explorers, expanding like a virus. When did this happen? Glorben demanded. That's the thing, sir. They have been launching these for years. Our monitoring systems classified them as space junk and filtered them out of reports. It wasn't until they reached Proxima Centauri that the pattern was noticed. Glorben felt the first stirrings of genuine concern. Attacked the Council. Emergency session. The Council chamber hadn't been this tense since the great ping-pong ball shortage of the 34th Galactic Standard year. All 12 members expanded since Glorben's earlier days sat rigidly in their seats. These are the facts, Glorben began, uncharacteristically serious. The humans have launched approximately 2.7 million exploration probes over the past 8 years. They are crude but effective solar-powered, with basic AI and communication arrays. They are mapping every star system within reach. But they still don't have FTL capability? Asked Counselor Jix, a new representative from Sirius. No, but they don't seem to care, Glorben replied. They are playing a numbers game. Send enough probes, and some will eventually reach interesting destinations. What do these probes do when they arrive? Draz bubbled nervously. They observe, map, analyze resources, and then they send all that data back to Earth. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They are creating a galactic survey, said Jix. It's a prelude to expansion. Precisely, Glorben nodded. And there's more. We have intercepted their communications. They have developed a new propulsion theory, something they call the Alcubierre drive. Well, it might actually work. How long until they have working FTL? Asked Draz. Based on their current rate of technological advancement, maybe 5 years. The chamber erupted in alarmed chatter. Silence. The voice came from the doorway. Vereen Dale stood there, leaning on a gravity cane, somehow looking even older than when Glorben had last seen her. Vereen, Glorben acknowledged, surprised. I thought you retired to Proxima Centauri. I did, she said, walking slowly to the center of the chamber, until one of those human probes entered my backyard. Literally. It landed in my meditation garden and killed my prize-winning luminous ferns. Despite the tension, a few council members snickered. You think this is funny? Vereen's voice cut through the room like a plasma blade. The prophecy is coming true. They have reached beyond their cradle. Now, let's not jump to conclusions, Glorben said, though with noticeably less conviction than in years past. Yes, they are expanding faster than anticipated, but activate the main viewer, Vereen commanded, ignoring Glorben. The massive screen on the council wall illuminated, showing a real-time view of Earth. The planet looked much as it always had, blue-green, wrapped in white clouds. But the space around it, by the eternal void, whispered Jix. The space around Earth was filled with satellites, stations, and ships. Thousands upon thousands of artificial objects, creating a shell of technology around the planet. From a distance, it looked like a black shroud encircling the world. The sky has turned black, Vereen said simply. That's just their orbital infrastructure, Glorben protested weakly. Every developing civilization goes through this phase. Not like this, said Vereen. Not this quickly. Not this enthusiastically. What do we do? Asked Draz, his gelatinous form quivering with anxiety. Before anyone could answer, the communication system chimed. Incoming transmission, announced the automated system. Origin, Sol 3. The council members exchanged shocked glances. That's impossible, Glorban stammered. They don't have the technology to detect our communication frequencies, let alone transmit on them. Apparently they do, Vereen said dryly, except the transmission. The screen shifted. A human face appeared pink-skinned, with short brownish hair and an expression that might have been a smile or a threat display. It was hard to tell with humans. "Greetings, Galactic Security Council," the human said in perfect standard galactic. "My name is Director Jamie Parker of the Earth Unified Space Agency. We have been aware of your monitoring for some time now." Glorban felt his secondary heart join his primary in a rhythmic panic. How did you? "One of your observation drones crashed in New Zealand about 50 years ago," Parker explained. "Very educational. We have been listening to your communications ever since. I must say, your encryption is quaint." Vereen made a sound that might have been a laugh. "What do you want?" Draz asked, unable to contain himself. "Want? Nothing complicated. Just to introduce ourselves properly. You have been watching us for centuries, after all. Seems only polite to say hello." The human's smile widened. "And to let you know that we have completed our preliminary survey of approximately 12,000 star systems. We are ready to begin formal exploration now." "Formal exploration?" Glorban repeated weakly. "Yes, the probes were just Phase 1. Phase 2 involves crewed missions. We are launching our first Alcubierre ships next month. Thought you'd want to know, since your prophecies seem so concerned about us." "You know about the prophecies?" Vereen leaned forward, suddenly intense. "Of course. Your security around ancient texts is even worse than your communication encryption." Director Parker's expression shifted to something more serious. "We are particularly interested in the part about the sky turning black." "Poetic, don't you think?" No one on the council spoke. The human continued. "Here's the thing. We are coming out there. All of us. We are curious, you see. It's our defining trait. And now we know there's a whole galaxy to explore. Wild horses couldn't keep us away. Though I suppose you don't have horses, so that idiom won't translate well. You can't just expand into galactic space." Glorban finally found his voice. "There are protocols, treaties. Thousands of years of established diplomatic procedures." Parker nodded understandingly. "We were wondering when you'd bring that up. That's actually why I'm calling. We'd like to send a diplomatic delegation to discuss these protocols and treaties." "Next week work for you?" "Next week?" The entire council shouted in unison. "Perfect. We will send the coordinates for the rendezvous point. Looking forward to meeting you all in person." Parker's smile returned. "Oh, and don't worry about the prophecy too much. If the sky turns black, it's probably just us passing overhead. We tend to travel in groups." The transmission ended, leaving the council in stunned silence. Vereen turned to Glorban, her silver eyes gleaming with what might have been amusement. "Still think they are just monkeys with rockets." Glorban stared at the now blank screen, his career and all his certainties crumbling around him. "We are going to need a bigger council chamber." Outside the window of the Galactic Security Headquarters, the first tiny human probe drifted past, its camera turning to focus on the building with what Glorban could have sworn was a wink. The age of human expansion had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The emergency relocation of the Galactic Security Council headquarters to the Epsilon Eridani system had not gone smoothly. For one thing, the cafeteria still served only blue food. For another, Glorban Taz couldn't seem to find a hover chair that didn't make embarrassing noises when he shifted his weight. "Can we please focus?" snapped Ambassador Lordsey, a serpentine diplomat whose scales changed color with her mood. Currently, they were an anxious mauve. "The human delegation arrives in 6 hours, and we still haven't agreed on a unified approach." Glorban grimaced, adjusting his formal robes. "I maintain that firm boundaries are our only option. Give these humans 1 parsec, they will take a whole sector." Vereen Dal, now officially reinstated as prophetic observer, tapped her gravity cane against the floor. The prophecies never mentioned whether the humans would be friends or foes, only that they would change everything. Very helpful, Glorban muttered. Maybe next time the ancient mystics could include some practical advice, like lottery numbers. Or whether these creatures prefer their meeting rooms hot or cold. Room temperature, came a voice from the doorway. Generally around 22 degrees Celsius, though we adapt easily. Every alien in the council chamber froze. Standing in the entrance was a human female, flanked by two others, a male and another whose gender wasn't immediately apparent to Glorban's foreign eyes. The Director Parker, Vereen said, rising to her feet with surprising agility. You are early. Jamie Parker smiled, striding confidently into the room. Punctuality is actually being late for humans. We prefer to arrive with time to spare. Her gaze swept around the chamber, taking in the assembled representatives of 17 galactic species. Impressive gathering. I feel honored. You should feel terrified, Glorban blurted out before he could stop himself. This council represents civilizations that were crossing space when your ancestors were still figuring out fire. Parker's smile didn't falter. And yet, here we are, having skipped several of your predicted developmental stages. Fascinating, isn't it? The human gestured to her companions. Allow me to introduce Dr. Olivia Tanaka, our xenobiologist, and Admiral Lucas Patel, commander of Earth's first interstellar fleet. Fleet? Counselor Draz bubbled in alarm. You said you were sending a diplomatic delegation. We are the diplomatic delegation, Admiral Patel clarified, his voice surprisingly deep. The fleet is merely our transportation and protection, added Dr. Tanaka, adjusting what appeared to be sensory enhancement devices perched on her nose. Space is dangerous. You of all people should know that. Glorban felt his third stomach clench. How many ships, exactly, constitute this fleet? 2,417, Admiral Patel answered casually, as though discussing the weather. Though only 12 are currently in this system. The rest are conducting peaceful survey operations throughout the neighboring sectors. The council erupted in pandemonium. Silence. Vereen's voice cut through the chaos. She fixed her silver eyes on Parker. You have violated at least 14 different territorial treaties. Treaties we never signed. Parker countered smoothly. Treaties we weren't even aware of until recently. You can hardly expect us to abide by regulations we had no part in creating. That's not how galactic law works, sputtered Glorban. Then perhaps galactic law needs updating, said Dr. Tanaka, pulling out a data pad. We have taken the liberty of drafting some proposed amendments. Fairly reasonable ones, I think you will find. Vereen held out her hand, and Tanaka placed the pad in it. The ancient alien's eyes widened as she scrolled through the document. This is, she began, a starting point for negotiations. Parker finished for her. We are not unreasonable, Ambassador Vereen. We simply wish to claim our place among the stars, like any sentient species would. Your place. Glorban couldn't contain himself any longer. You have barely mastered basic interstellar travel, and you are demanding seats on regulatory committees? Access to restricted technologies? Exploration rights in 17 sectors? We learn quickly, Admiral Patel said with a shrug. And we are very, very curious. Curiosity isn't a diplomatic qualification, Glorban retorted. No, but it is a powerful motivator, Dr. Tanaka interjected. May I? She gestured toward the center of the room, where a holographic projector sat. Vereen nodded hesitantly. Tanaka tapped her own device, and suddenly the room filled with a three-dimensional star map far more detailed than anything the Council possessed. This is our current mapping of the galaxy, she explained, based on data from our probes. You will notice several anomalies that don't appear in your official charts. Glorban leaned forward despite himself. She was right. There were stellar formations, nebulae, even entire star systems that weren't documented in Council records. How did you? He began. We look, Parker said simply. Everywhere. All the time. With everything we have got. It's what we do. And what else do you do? Asked Lordsley, her scales shifting to a wary orange. Besides invade and map territory that isn't yours. Parker's expression hardened slightly. We explore. We learn. We adapt. And yes, sometimes we fight. But mostly we create. Allow me to demonstrate. She nodded to Admiral Patel, who activated a communication device on his wrist. Show them, he said into it. The star map disappeared, replaced by a real-time view of space outside the council station. A human vessel had decloaked. Wait, decloaked. Glorben felt faint. The humans had cloaking technology? The ship was elegant by any standards, sleek and clearly built for both speed and power. But what happened next left the entire council speechless. The vessel began to transform. Sections unfolded, expanded, rearranged. Within minutes, what had been a warship was now clearly a space station, complete with docking arms and habitat rings. Modular adaptive architecture, Dr. Tanaka explained proudly. Every ship in our fleet can convert to a station, a habitat, or a manufacturing facility. We call it the Transformer Protocol. That's impossible, Glorben whispered. The power requirements alone would. We solved the power problem, Patel interrupted. 0-point energy extraction. Fairly efficient now, though we are still refining the process. The council members exchanged horrified glances. 0-point energy was theoretical at best, considered too dangerous to pursue by every major galactic civilization. You are tampering with the fabric of reality itself, Draz said, his gelatinous form quivering with genuine fear. Only a little bit, Parker said with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. And very carefully. Vereen had been silent, studying the humans with her ancient, knowing gaze. Now she spoke, her voice heavy with portent. The prophecy wasn't a warning about the humans. It was a warning about us. All eyes turned to her. What do you mean? Asked Glorben. When they reach beyond their cradle, the sky will turn black, Vereen recited. We assumed it meant the humans would bring darkness, destruction. But that's not it at all. She looked directly at Parker. You are going to change everything, not destroy it. Transform it, like your ships. Parker nodded slowly. We don't want war, Ambassador Vereen. We want partnership, exchange, growth. But we won't be contained, and we won't be controlled. And if we try? Lordsley asked, her scales now a deep, troubled purple. Then things get complicated, Admiral Patel said quietly. We'd rather they didn't. Glorben looked from the transformed ship on the view screen to the three humans standing confidently before the most powerful governing body in known space. They should have been intimidated. They should have been begging for acceptance. Instead, they were offering terms. As equals. No, he realized with a shock. Not as equals. As leaders. I think, Glorben said carefully, that we should adjourn for a brief recess. To consider your proposals. Parker smiled. Of course. Take all the time you need. She checked a device on her wrist. Though I should mention that 300 more human ships will be arriving within the hour. A part of our routine patrol schedule. Nothing to worry about. As the council members filed out into the antechamber, Glorben grabbed Vereen's arm. We need to stall them. Delay. Give our military time to mobilize. Vereen's silver eyes regarded him with something like pity. It's too late for that, Glorben. It was too late the moment they left their world. We outnumber them 1,000,000,000 to 1. And yet, here they are, with technology they shouldn't have for another 1,000 years, with ships that transform, with 0-point energy. She shook her head. The prophecy has fulfilled itself. The sky has turned black with their vessels, and there's no going back. So we just surrender? Hand over the galaxy to a bunch of evolved primates. No, Vereen said thoughtfully. We adapt. We learn, we become more like them. That's crazy talk. Is it? Look at our civilization, Glorban. Stagnant, regulated, safe. We haven't had a major technological breakthrough in 600 years. But we haven't expanded our territory in twice that long. Because we found balance. Harmony. No, because we found comfort. And stopped looking up. Korean's expression softened. The humans will change us. And perhaps we need changing. Before Glorban could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. The council members rushed back into the chamber to find the three humans calmly seated, drinking beverages they had apparently brought with them. "What's happening?" demanded Lorzi. "Ah," Parker said, setting down her cup. "That would be the Taurians. They have just crossed into the Procyon system, eating everything in their path, as usual." "The Taurians? How do you know about?" Glorban stopped. "Wait, the Procyon system? That's less than 10 light years from here." 9.4, to be precise, Admiral Patel confirmed. "Which is why our fleet is moving to intercept." The main view screen activated automatically, showing a tactical display. Sure enough, the ravenous Taurian horde, a species that consumed entire planets for sustenance, was advancing rapidly toward populated systems. And moving to meet them was a swarm of human vessels, far more than the 300 Parker had mentioned. "You lied about your numbers," Glorban accused. "I rounded down," Parker replied with a shrug. "Humans do that sometimes." "You can't possibly hope to stop the Taurians," Draz bubbled anxiously. "Our combined fleets have only managed to slow their advance for centuries." "We have a different approach in mind," said Dr. Tanaka, tapping on her pad. The tactical display zoomed in on the lead human vessels. They were changing, combining, hundreds of ships linking together to form massive structures. "What are they doing?" whispered Lorzi. "Building a wall," Admiral Patel said matter-of-factly. "A very special kind of wall." On the screen, the combined human mega-structure activated. A wave of energy pulsed outward, engulfing the approaching Taurian fleet. Where it passed, the Taurian ships simply stopped, frozen in place. "Temporal stasis field," Dr. Tanaka explained. "Localized suspension of normal time flow. The Taurians aren't harmed. They are just paused." That's not," Glorban couldn't even finish his sentence. Temporal manipulation was considered impossible by every scientific authority in the galaxy. "Impressive, isn't it?" Parker said, a note of pride in her voice. "We developed it last Tuesday, still working out some efficiency issues, but the basic principle is sound." Irene began to laugh. A deep, genuine laugh that none of the council members had ever heard from her before. "The prophecy," she gasped between fits of laughter. "All this time we thought it was a warning. It wasn't. It was an introduction." Parker smiled. "We suspected as much when we translated the full text. Beware the third planet from the yellow star. When they reach beyond their cradle, the sky will turn black, and the age of slumber will end." "The age of slumber?" Glorban repeated. "Your slumber," Patel clarified. "The long, comfortable sleep of a galaxy that stopped dreaming big dreams." Glorban looked at the screen, where human ships were now surrounding the frozen Taurian fleet, preparing to tow them to some unknown destination. He looked at the three humans, sipping their beverages and waiting patiently for the council's response to their proposals. And finally he looked at Vereen, whose ancient eyes now sparkled with something he hadn't seen in centuries, hope. "The sky has turned black," Glorban said slowly, "with human ships coming to wake us up. And to invite you to join us," Parker added, extending her hand in what Glorban now recognized as a human gesture of alliance. "The galaxy is bigger than any of us imagined. Stranger, more wonderful, more dangerous. We will need each other out there." Vereen stepped forward and took Parker's hand. "The Galactic Security Council accepts your invitation, Director Parker. Though I suspect nothing will ever be the same again." "That's rather the point," Parker replied with a grin. "Sameness is overrated." Above them, visible through the station's transparent dome, The first wave of human ships entered orbit. Thousands of them, their sleek forms blotting out the stars like a great black tide. But among them, glowing with soft blue light, were new ships' different designs, carrying mixed crews of humans and other species who had already embraced the awakening. The sky had turned black. But beyond that darkness, a new universe awaited. Glorban sighed, straightened his robes, and prepared to explain to his superiors how he'd helped hand the galaxy to a species that had been swinging from trees when he was born. They were never going to believe this. But then again, looking at what the humans had accomplished in mere decades, perhaps anything was possible now, even filing the paperwork for a whole new galactic order. So Glorban asked the nearest human Dr. Tanaka, who was already deep in conversation with 3 council scientists, "What exactly do you plan to do with the Taurians?" She smiled. "Teach them farming, much more sustainable than eating planets. And if they refuse to learn, then we keep them in time out until they are ready to play nice with others," she replied. "We have children too, you know. The principle is the same." Glorban stared at her, then at the tactical display where Taurian world eaters hung suspended in time, caught like insects in amber by technology that shouldn't exist. He started to laugh. It began as a small chuckle, grew into a hearty guffaw, and finally became a full-bellied roar that echoed through the council chamber. The humans had arrived. The sky had turned black. And nothing would ever be the same again,